Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasumi Balachandra.
And I am Thilina Udayaratna. First of all, let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Heavy rains disrupt people's lives in many areas. The President instructs authorities to take steps to expedite the production of organic fertilizer. The distribution of the 5,000 rupee allowance is conducted successfully. Economic centers will be open today and tomorrow. Divers inspect the Express Pearl ship.
Moving on to those and other stories in detail. The Met Department says that the existing weather condition in several parts of the country is expected to prevail in the next 2 days. The activation of the southwestern monsoon has contributed for the prevailing situation in the country. The highest rainfall in the country during the last 24 hours was reported from Ingiriya. Accordingly, many low-lying areas have been inundated. Many parts of Colombo were also inundated today due to heavy showers. Vehicular movement was also affected due to this condition. 150 millimeter rainfall has occurred in upper region in Kukuleganga Reservoir. Therefore, 2 sluice gates of the reservoir have been opened. Accordingly, reports have been indicated that low-lying areas in Bulat Sinhala region have been inundated. Also, residents in 17 Grama divisions belonging to Palintanura Divisional Secretariat Division have also been affected. Vehicular movement in Midalana area along Badralia Road has been hampered due to the prevailing flooding situation in the area. The water level in Kalni River has increased to a certain level due to the heavy rains which prevailed yesterday. Accordingly, reports have indicated that Pahalavela area in Pogoda along Hangwala Nittambo Road as well as several low-lying areas have been inundated. Many low-lying areas have also been inundated due to the overflowing of the Pusveli Canal. Accordingly, 75 houses in Paduk area have been submerged under the flood water. Many areas in Putlam district are experiencing heavy rains throughout the day. Chilaw, Wennapur and Maravilla areas have been identified as the most affected from the prevailing conditions. The vehicular movements along Colombo-Chilaw Road has been disrupted as Maravilla town area has been inundated. Many low-lying areas have been inundated due to the overflowing of Markandra tank due to the prevailing bad weather condition. Accordingly, close to about 15 houses in Pallamagrama Niladari division and Kurunagala Negambo main road have been inundated. Reports have indicated that 2 sluice gates of the tank have been opened in an attempt to control prevailing situation. Talgasmur area in Wayangoda has also been affected from the prevailing bad weather condition. Residents in 100 houses in the area have been affected from the prevailing situation. The water level of the Attanagalla canal has also increased. Consequently, many areas in Bonagala Tiharia, Kahata Ugita and Attanagalla areas have been inundated.
And in more news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed relevant officials to take and expedite the production of organic fertilizer required for the Maha season. The President gave these instructions at a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday with regards to the production of organic fertilizer. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa advised the officials to study the machinery required to produce organic fertilizer and manufacture machines that could be built locally with the assistance of the Sri Lanka Army Engineers Corps at state-owned factories and import the rest. Special attention was paid to the production of fertilizer at the local government level. The President also explained the need to impart technical knowledge to these institutions. The raw material required for the production of organic fertilizer can be conveniently obtained from the rural environment itself. The President highlighted that this would preserve the cleanliness and splendor of the village, and at the same time a brand new rural economic network could be built with the assistance of the Samruddhi beneficiaries. Challenges may arise when implementing these programs. However, but in accordance with the national policy framework, Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor, the right of the people to a non-toxic diet must be guaranteed to raise a healthy and efficient citizenry. Numerous elements across the globe claim that it was possible to defeat terrorism. A similar notion is shared by many with regard to the organic fertilizer program. The President emphasized that overcoming this challenge is the need of the era. He stated that in order to make this program a success, it is imperative that the farmers be provided with the required amount of organic fertilizer without any shortage. Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage stated that the full quantity of organic fertilizer required for this purpose is expected to be produced locally, and in any case of any shortage, the required shortfall will be imported and stored by the government. Minister Alutgamage said that steps will be taken to launch a special program to inspect the soil and recommend to release only the required quantity of organic fertilizer to the farmers and to provide necessary soil testing equipment to all agrarian service centers in the country. State Minister Shashindra Rajapaksa said that steps are being taken to provide the necessary technical knowledge to the farmers to produce organic fertilizer. It was also decided to provide a series of printed instructions to the farmers to make them aware of the use of organic fertilizer.
The distribution of the 5,000 rupee allowance for the income-deprived public due to the travel restrictions was successfully conducted today. The distribution of the allowance was initiated yesterday, and the government has allocated 30,000 million rupees worth funds in this regard. The distribution of the 5,000 rupee allowance in Hambantota district was carried out today as well. Accordingly, a total of 177,835 Samruddhi beneficiaries are expected to receive the allowance. Meanwhile, a total of 62,912 low-income earning families in Putlam district have been eligible to receive the 5,000 rupee allowance. The relevant allowance will be distributed through 48 Samruddhi banks. Distribution of the 5,000 rupee allowance in several Grama Niladhari divisions in Minuangoda Divisional Secretariat Division in Gampaha was initiated today. Residents in 405 Grama Niladhari divisions in Nuwara district are expected to receive the 5,000 rupee allowance. The allowance will be distributed among Samruddhi beneficiaries, low-income earners and income-deprived families in the respective areas. The program to distribute 5,000 rupee allowance in Kandy district was successfully carried out today. Accordingly, 6,438 families of Samruddhi recipients in Harispatwa Divisional Secretariat Division received the financial allowance today. Meanwhile, a total of 231,000 families in Kagaon district have gained eligibility to receive the 5,000 rupee allowance.
Now, taking a look at the COVID-19 situation in the country, the COVID-19 immunization program has been successfully carried out in 9 districts at present. Accordingly, 69,573 people received the COVID-19 vaccine yesterday. The second dose of the Covishield vaccine was administered to 1,681 persons yesterday. The first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine was administered to 49,378 people, and 18,514 people received the first dose of the Sputnik V vaccine yesterday. 2,184,691 have received vaccines under the COVID-19 immunization program thus far. The first dose of the Covishield vaccine has been administered to 925,242 persons, and the second dose of the Covishield vaccine has been administered to a total of 350,163 persons. Minister K.L. Ramukwella meanwhile engaged in an observational tour at the Lunuketi Amaditya Mahavidyalaya in Kundasale to monitor the COVID-19 immunization program. 2,622 COVID-19 patients were detected in the country today. 1,683 patients left hospitals. Accordingly, the total recoveries in the country has increased up to a total of 162,397. And in the meantime, 31,206 COVID-19 patients are still receiving treatment in hospitals. 39 COVID-19 related deaths were recorded between the period from the 17th of May to the 1st of June. The National Savings Bank has said that steps will be taken to continue the program to provide concessionary loan facilities for income-deprived businessmen due to the COVID-19 outbreak. 50 students and 8 members of staff of a private residential educational institute conducted in violation of quarantine regulations in Katugastota, Kandy have been self-quarantined in the same premises. The relevant decision was taken together by the Katugastota police and health authorities. These persons were directed to quarantine after one of the students tested positive for COVID-19. Accordingly, legal action is expected to be taken against this educational institute. High Commissioner of Australia to Sri Lanka David Hawley called on Sri Lanka Army Commander General Shavendra Silva at the Battaramulla Sri Lanka Army headquarters this morning. During the meeting, a consignment of equipment was presented to the Army Commander. Both the parties engaged in discussions on further development of bilateral relations between the countries. The Australian High Commissioner has praised the Sri Lanka Army for the assistance directed for the national effort to prevent the spread of the outbreak of COVID-19.
The Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemant Herath, says that enforcing travel restrictions is the most suitable measure which should be taken at this juncture to control the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country. He added that the success of such measures can only be garnered with the support of the public.
Outcome of the current travel restriction will be seen only after another several incubations after the imposing of this travel restriction. So as a result, the current caseload has no impact on decision making at this moment. What is required is, even after lifting the current travel restriction, people need to adhere to the maximum travel restrictions wherever possible, and also to maintain the social distancing, and also adhering to the stipulated health guidelines, so that risk of spreading the disease is minimum. Thereby we will be able to harness the benefits of the sacrifices that we have already made during these travel restrictions.
Dr. Hemant Herath further briefed on the existing COVID-19 immunization program in the country.
There have been reports that number of persons or employees of Tree has been reported to be infected with COVID-19 infection after getting the vaccine. Probably, I'm not sure, maybe Sputnik or any other vaccine. The this need to be emphasized at this moment is there will be no impact on the infectivity of a disease within the first 2 weeks of getting this vaccination, because some time for the body to develop the immunity. Somebody has acquired the disease just few days after getting the vaccination. We would say that it is not due to the failure of the vaccine, but immunity has not been developed, and the patient probably would have acquired the disease few days prior to the immunization, and enough time to get itself established prior to the development of the immunity. So therefore, people should not take this as a failure of vaccination, because it is possible to have. And also, it is again, I need to emphasize that even after vaccination, what is the expected result is reduction of the possibility of getting complications, and also the getting killed by the disease, as well as reducing the probability of spreading the disease, but will not 100% prevent the acquiring of the disease. So therefore, we need to make sure that even after vaccination, we need adhere to the health guidelines wherever possible, so that we are protected from any risk of getting infected.
All economic centres across the country will be opened on both today and tomorrow for wholesale traders. The traders have indicated that large stocks of vegetables have been received by the economic centres thus far. Tambutegam Economic Centre was also opened today. The traders said that between 400,000 to 500,000 kilos of vegetables and fruits were received by the centre within the day. Meanwhile, Minister Bandru Gunawardena also engaged in an observational tour at the Tambutegam Economic Centre yesterday. Dambulla Economic Centre resumed its operations from midnight yesterday. According to the Dambulla Traders Association, vegetable farmers arrived at the centre this morning along with their products. Narahimpeti Economic Centre, which was closed down due to travel restrictions, also resumed its operations today. Padiyagura Manning Market received large stocks of vegetables today. Wholesale traders have said that the price rates of the vegetables is expected to decline after large stocks of vegetables have been received from many parts of the country. Meanwhile, many outlets of Lanka Sathasa Cooperative, Coop cities situated across the country, were open today after all services rendered through Lanka Sathasa Limited and cooperatives have been declared as essential services. Raids were carried out in Akurasa and Pitabaldar areas to detect traders who sell essential goods at higher rates during the travel restrictions imposed period. The raid was carried out by the officials attached to the Matra office of the Consumer Affairs Authority. The program to distribute essential goods to households has been further initiated considering the currently imposed travel restrictions. Accordingly, mobile outlets have been deployed covering each district in the country, allowing the public to purchase essential food items. Meanwhile, the State Ministry of Livestock has introduced several telephone numbers for the traders who are engaged in the program to distribute essential goods to households and consumers to submit issues pertaining to the relevant program. All post offices and sub-post offices in the country were opened today to facilitate several essential services, including the distribution of public and agrarian pensions. Meanwhile, the program to apply stickers after inspecting the vehicle entering and leaving Colombo City was initiated on 52 locations today. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana mentioned that the relevant stickers will only be valid for 1 day.
The U.S. Agency for International Development, also known as USAID, has airlifted emergency medical supplies to Maldives, Pakistan and Sri Lanka to help save lives, prevent the spread of COVID-19 and continue to meet the urgent health needs across South Asia. This emergency assistance to Sri Lanka includes 880,000 vital pieces of personal protective equipment and 1,200 pulse oximeters to support frontline workers and other workers affected by the outbreak. The United States and Sri Lanka have worked closely together to respond to the outbreak of COVID-19 since its outset. Meanwhile, USAID assistance has identified and benefited people in all 25 districts and 9 provinces across the country, providing life-saving treatment, strengthening clinical care and mobilizing critical supplies to bolster the response. The government previously provided $11.3 million to assist Sri Lanka's COVID-19 response and recovery. In other news, the distribution of relief packages for facilities deprived of religious establishments in the face of COVID-19 commenced today. The relevant program initiated with the participation of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the temple trees. The program was commenced under the instructions of the Prime Minister. The distribution of relevant facilities for religious establishments was carried out under the instructions of the Prime Minister during previous travel restrictions imposed occasions as well. Accordingly, a parcel with rations and other food items will be provided to each religious establishment with the assistance of Satosa. Symbolizing the commencement of the program, the Prime Minister handed over relief parcels for several religious establishments today. Venerable Kolonnave Sugatavansa Thera, Venerable Vatakethara Vimalabuddhi Thera, Reverend Father Linthottage Prashant Dilanta Fernando, Nazir Maulavi representing the Vakanda Jumma Masjid and the Vellavatta Sivashri V. Somasundara priest received parcels from the Prime Minister. Venerable Agrahera Kassapa Thera, Chief Incumbent of the Gangarama Temple, Venerable Dr. Kirinde Assaji Thera, Minister Bandulu Gunavardhana, Secretary to the Prime Minister Gamini Senarath, Secretary to the Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs Minister Professor Kapila Gunavardhana and Commissioner General of Buddhist Affairs Sunanda Karyaperuma were present on the occasion.
Minister Nama Rajapaksa was sworn in as State Minister of Digital Technology and Entrepreneur Development today. He will hold the new state ministerial portfolio in addition to the Cabinet Ministry portfolio of Youth and Sports. Minister Nama Rajapaksa was sworn in as the State Minister of Digital Technology and Entrepreneur Development before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa reviewed the progress of the state ministries during the monthly meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. The state ministers presented their future strategies that have been prepared to launch in order to accomplish their assigned duties, responsibilities and targets to the President. The state ministers highlighted that in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, their ministries have implemented a number of initiatives to fulfill their responsibilities to the people, prioritizing the need to protect the economy. All state ministers, Secretary to the President, P.B. Jayasundara, Secretary to the Ministry of Public Services, Provincial Councils and Local Government J.J. Ratnasiri were also present at this meeting.
Divers were deployed today to inspect whether oil or chemical substances are remaining in the Express Pearl container ship, which has been sinking in Sri Lankan waters. Meanwhile, Merchant Shipping Secretariat has mentioned that the Singaporean shipping company has agreed for an additional compensation related to the damage caused from this accident. The Sri Lanka Navy has engaged into whether and inquired into whether the front part of the Express Pearl vessel has submerged to a certain level today. The rear section of the ship has been sunken below 22 meters of deep sea. A group of divers of the Sri Lanka Navy inspected the bottom of the ship this morning. The experts have indicated that the remaining oil or chemical substances in the ship should be completely removed before towing the ship away from the existing location using any possible method. They have further said that the intention of this attempt would be to avoid a possible oil spillage. Sri Lanka Navy has taken steps to assist the Marine Environmental Protection Authority in this regard. The Marine Environmental Protection Authority will be empowered with the relevant authorized power to act under such circumstances. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, General Dar Ratnayaka, said that the arrival of other ships into the Colombo port has not been disrupted due to the Express Pearl ship. Meanwhile, a meeting was held with the participation of many stakeholders to discuss on the future steps to be taken regarding the ship. The meeting was held at the Ministry of Ports and Shipping this morning.
This type of marine disasters are common in about couple of years before. Now today the oil disasters are very rare, but this particular incident is not oil related disaster, it's a chemical disaster. I think after the consecutive disasters in near Colombo Harbour, now the government should take immediate action to form a national disaster plan for maritime disasters, and that should be done by either Minister of, initiated by Disaster Management Plan and the Petroleum Corporation and the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Power, and all other concerned parties should get together and make a concerted effort to make a disaster management plan, not the contingency. Contingencies take place right throughout, but this type of disasters are now 2 disasters taken place, and before starting the third one, I think the government should take initiative to start national disaster management plan.
Meanwhile, backbench parliamentarians of the Sri Lanka Pudujana Peramuna lodged a complaint with the CID over baseless reports circulated by certain entities on the ship. Addressing a press briefing this evening, Minister Rohitha Abegunawardena mentioned that certain entities have taken the effort to bring in politics into the fire that erupted in the ship. Minister Rohitha Abegunawardena said that certain entities have alleged that this incident was conspired by the ruling party and created an altered political stance with various views and ideologies. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, General Dar Ratnayaka, said that the prevailed cyclone condition turned into a severe system on the 24th. Accordingly, certain systems in the port switch off automatically under such situations. Such incidents had not taken place for the last 30 to 40 years. He further said that the work in the port had been disrupted for a period of 39 hours consecutively. The Colombo port operates about 20,000 containers a day. They were only able to operate 208 containers during the 39-hour period, which demonstrates the windy condition in the sea.
Dry ration packs have been distributed among 300 indigenous families residing in Pollebatta Graminilladari division in Mahawaya, Ampara recently. Mobitel has rendered the financial sponsorship to the Ampara District Secretariat in this regard. Indigenous communities were also affected following the imposition of travel restrictions amidst the COVID-19 outbreak. Directing attention in this regard, Mobitel decided to provide the dry ration packs for the community.
And that's a wrap on tonight's Rupavahini English News. Join us once again tomorrow. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Good night.